I want to thank those of you in this room and those who are part of the Convention of States team across the state of Texas. I want to thank you for your patriotism, for standing up for something that is now seemingly being abandoned. And those are the three primary words in the United States Constitution: we the people. The Constitution did not begin, we the Congress, or we the judiciary, or we the president, or we the bureaucracy. It said we the people. And then everything that came after that was intended to secure the liberty and the power of the people. But we've seen over time, especially over the past 100 years, how the power has slipped from the grasp of the people that it belonged to. As the person who holds the record for suing the federal government, I can tell you it takes more than lawsuits to fix what is broken in our constitutional system. As you all know, I sued the federal government more than 30 times. I sued it because the president was using executive orders to himself rewrite the Constitution. I sued the federal government because the Congress was empowering bureaucrats to run your lives in ways that violate the separation of powers. And I sued because the United States Supreme Court itself was rewriting the Constitution. The Constitution is broken. Now, we all know there are people out there who raise concerns about a Convention of States. I want you to ask them, how many lawsuits have they filed against the federal government? They don't know what's going on out there. They say, why don't you just go sue the federal government? It's not that easy. It's not that easy. They say, why don't you just assert the 10th Amendment rights? Now, a group of people I know who know the 10th Amendment are the people in this room. You can recite it as well as I can. It's one sentence long. Think about that sentence in your mind, and think about the conclusion of that sentence where all the power is reserved to the states or to the people. Where does it say in that sentence or any other area that there is authority given by the 10th Amendment to wage a legal action against the federal government when the 10th Amendment is violated? That remedy is missing. That remedy is needed because of a Supreme Court decision that came out of the state of Texas that you can Google later, called Garcia versus San Antonio Metropolitan Transit Authority, where the United States Supreme Court said that your 10th Amendment rights really no longer exist, that if you want to have your 10th Amendment rights asserted, you need to work on who it is you're electing to the United States Senate and United States Congress. That's not the way the 10th Amendment works. It is time for the 10th Amendment power to be restored by giving remedy to the states to bring legal action to enforce the 10th Amendment. That is what the Convention of States will do. Now, what is ailing America is a problem far bigger than what any one president can fix. I know there are some people thinking, well, gosh, now we elected a Republican president, as though that suddenly fixes everything. That doesn't fix everything for several reasons. One, all three branches of government have so far strayed from what the Constitution provides, it's impossible to put that genie back in the box by just one president. It's going to take far too long. But second, the president-elect Donald Trump epitomizes exactly why we need a Convention of States, why we need states to lead the way in proposing constitutional amendments. Because you know that the president-elect himself has called for one of the constitutional amendments that we are calling for, which is to put term limits on members of the United States Congress. And you've seen the way that the United States Congress themselves have thumbed their nose at the president-elect, saying that's not going to happen. That is exactly why the authors of the United States Constitution, the founders of the United States of America, inserted Article 5 into the United States Constitution, because they knew the entrenched powers in Washington, D.C. would thumb their nose at the president, at the states, and they would try to hijack the system for themselves. You know, you members of the United States Congress are not going to propose term limits on themselves. We, the people, must impose it on them. Understand this. Understand this. There are people who say, you know, I like the Constitution the way it is. Why change it? Anyone who says that happens to know, or let's say not know, Article 5 is in the Constitution. What we're asking for is not to rewrite the Constitution, but to apply the Constitution the way that Madison and Hamilton and the rest of them wrote it. The second thing, this isn't going to hijack the Constitution. We have very specific things we're going to do. We're going to protect the liberty that was intended to be secured by the United States Constitution. We're going to ensure that your Second Amendment rights are protected. Ensure that everything in the Bill of Rights is protected. I've heard some people say, well, golly gee, if we have this convention, say you may lose your Second Amendment rights. Anyone who says that cannot do math. All it takes for you to lose your constitutional rights are 5 Supreme Court justices, 4 of whom are already on the Supreme Court. Had this election gone the other way, I believe that Hillary Clinton would have appointed someone to the United States Supreme Court who would have stripped away your Second Amendment rights. But remember this mathematical fact. In order for any provision to pass, it takes 38 states. So when anyone tells you you're going to take away their Second Amendment rights, say, tell me, I want you to identify for me the 38 states in the United States of America that are going to take away your Second Amendment rights. That will end that conversation right then and there. It takes 38 states to ratify a provision. It takes 34 states to propose a provision. Get this. After November, there are now 33 Republican governors in the United States of America. We can get this done. We will limit government. We will strengthen the 10th Amendment. We will ensure that we have limitations and restrictions on the budget so that our members of Congress will not sink Phil King's grandson into debt from which we cannot be rescued. The bottom line is this. Every person in this room knows that America is fractured, that America is broken, that we've gotten away from a constitutional system of government. The question is, who is it that you trust to go about the process of fixing it? Do you trust the established, entrenched, entitled forces in Washington, D.C.? Or do you trust the people of the United States of America to fix our problem? I believe what the founders believe, and that's you, the people, who are the answer to what ails America. And we need to understand this may be our last chance to get this right. There is no other United States of America in this world. There is no other Texas in the United States of America. If we are going to turn this nation around and we're going to restore our Constitution, it must be Texas that leads the way in amending the United States Constitution. will get this done because of you and your support, because of the House, because of the Senate, and I do want to thank the Lieutenant Governor for making this a priority. Let's give the Lieutenant Governor a big round of applause for supporting this cause. If you believe in America, where our future is going to be designed by the people, not government, if you believe in an America that restores your individual liberty and the rule of law as opposed to the rule of whim, then now is your time to stand and fight for we the people of the United States of America. Thank you. God bless you all. God bless America. I am adding another item to the agenda for the next legislative session. I want legislation authorizing Texas to join other states in calling for a convention of states to fix the cracks in our broken Constitution.